Guys, today we are here to solve the feed problems on the farm. How can you solve feed problems on your farm? You know, feed in poultry is the determinant of everything. Like literally, feed determines the business. Feed determines the profits. Feed determines the losses. And how can you then solve the feed challenges or problems in your farm? My name is Sir Antonio Innocent Mdongi and your full-time poultry plug. If you're new to our YouTube channel, guys, kindly hit the subscribe button, like and share. Also join us in our masterclasses. I've shared a link in the description below. Access our website, have a look at it, and just give me your comments. How can I solve feed challenges? And how am I myself first solving the feed challenges? One is sources of feed. Don't just get feed from one source. If at all you're a farmer who is buying commercial feed, have time to compare feeds from this source and this source. And with your experience in farming, you'll at least identify 3 quality sources of feed. So keep checking their prices, if at all you opt to go that direction of buying commercial feeds. But of course, the most recommended and the best solution is to formulate your own feed. And if at all you have to formulate your own feed like we're doing, then you have to be very much conversant with the sources of the raw materials. Like, look at it this way. You're buying raw materials from someone who has bought from someone, and then from someone who has bought from a farmer. So these 3 blocks or these 3 stairs, all of them have to make a kill before you, the end user. So you're going to spend a little bit more than you'd have taken your time, then done your research and gotten the raw materials directly from the producers. So you get the raw materials for making your feed directly from the producer. You get the point? That will help you also in ensuring that you're getting raw material that is of good quality and has traceability. Remember, some of these raw materials you're using in making feed can be also problematic during the handling. How some companies, mostly in Uganda, process maize germ. You find that you get maize germ that is in moist form, that has even already caked. Such conditions are very conducive for aflatoxin development. Aflatoxin is a fungi. How do you expect birds to eat feed that is rich in aflatoxin and survive? That mortality is going to be on another level. You're losing a bird or the birds stop laying. So you are not solving the feed problem. That's why it's good that as much as you think of making your own feed, be well conversant with the sources of raw materials and how handling of the raw material is done right from the producer to you, the consumer. 3. When you're making feed, because AIM Agriculture has told you that you use maize in making your feed, try to understand the substitutes of these raw materials. You could be in a region that has got a high tendency of producing wheat. So it simply means that at your place, wheat is at your disposal, and wheat is cheaper than getting maize. So try to understand the substitutes in feed formulation. For example, feed formulation is divided into 3 main sources: the carbohydrate, the protein, and the minerals. That is for the macro ingredients. In this list of carbohydrates, we have got maize, we have got wheat, we have got sorghum. And in the masterclass, I have explained which type of sorghum in which state to use. Don't just use millet, not sorghum. Which type of millet in what condition to be used. So don't just use any millet. So these then are the substitutes that can substitute each other in that. Then we have the proteins. We have the animal protein and the plant protein. You know, we have got fish meal and we've got different types of fish meal. We have got other substitutes like the black soldier fly as a source of protein, trying to substitute the animal protein. So in what form of black soldier fly, in what amounts to be used? That's why we've done for you a masterclass on how you can produce your black soldier fly and how to process it before you use it for the birds. Remember, the BSF has come from waste. Waste has got so many disease-causative agents, more so bacteria. So if you just use it anyhow, then you're transferring those bacteria to your flock. So you're bringing in infections. We are trying to tackle the feed challenge, but again, we're introducing a problem. The main cause and source of diseases in birds, more so coccidia, typhoid, and cholera, is fish meal. Fish meal. So then which type of fish meal to use, in what state or what form? These are the key components and the key things that you ought to understand as a farmer. Now, the other important point could be or is keep reconstituting your feed formula. Keep reconstituting your feed formula seasonally. During this season, we got peak production of soybean. During this season, we got peak production of wheat, peak production of maize, peak production of sunflower. So reconstitute your formulation in a way that the ingredient that is in surplus, is in high production, we use it in a least form. Is it making sense? For example, this season we're having lots of maize in production. Now that we're having high amount of maize being produced, we constitute our feed formulation in a way that we use the bulk of the raw materials as maize. By using the bulk of the raw material that is highly available, which is the cheapest, we automatically reduce the cost of feed. But we are saying reconstitute the feed formula so that now it suits the economic times, but you're paying attention to the scientific requirements, which is the percentage digestible crude protein that is being given to those type of birds at that particular age. Now, after you've sorted out all these feed formulation things, we've made the feed. The feed is affordable and the feed is quality. What then is the other problem? The feed could reach the farm, but then utility of the feed becomes a challenge. How are you administering the feed to the birds? Feed administration should be done rapidly so that you can enhance uniformity, and the birds should uniformly access the feeds. The feeding containers, or the feeders in a layman's language, how are they like? Use the right feeders in the right rations so that you minimize spillages and competition. When you have too much spillages, it simply means that we are making a loss in terms of the feed being wasted on the ground. The other thing would be when you have too much spillages, when you have feeders that do not conform with the birds, it means that our birds would feed more and the big ones will grow bigger and the smaller ones will grow smaller due to competition. This takes me back. I'd forgotten a very important point. The texture or the form of the feed that you give the birds. In order for the feed to be well utilized, rapidly absorbed, converted into either tissue or either eggs, the form that we give the birds the feed is very important and very crucial. When the birds are chicks, give them the grains in a finer texture, but not so fine, because we need to have roughages that will control and help in digestion. When the birds are growing, we also increase the particle size, but don't overdo it, because when the particle sizes are too big, the birds will take a longer time to digest the feed, and therefore they will reduce the ingestion. And when the feed intake is reduced, then automatically means production is reduced. We are trying to solve the feed problems of the farm, but then we are not helping ourselves, because as much as we are trying to solve the feed problem in the farm, we are supposed to entice the birds to consume more. Now, outside layers, you can supplement the feed by giving leftovers, either kitchen leftovers, kitchen wastes, produces that is left on the farm like kales, but this is only for free-ranging birds, and this is for kienyeji improved birds and not commercial layers. So we can then supplement. We can as well supplement the birds with the ingredients in drinking water that will encourage high digestibility of the feed, or rather will reduce the FCR percentage and make much of the feed absorbed into the system of the birds. That way, we shall then be solving the feed problem but increasing the feed efficiency of the birds. So then these are very common things and very common points that any farmer would simply implement and find him or herself solving the feed problem. Now, we have done all this to solve the feed problem. We have made very quality feed, very affordable feed, well processed. But then, where do we store it? Do you know that our feed can get contaminated in the storage? When you're storing your feed, use pallets. The feed should not come in direct contact with the ground, because you're trying to control dampiness. And what will give us the biggest loss in storage of our feeds are actually rodents. These are rats. You know, rats are just so destructive. They can puncture the bags that are storing the feed. They eat the feed, then they do their droppings there. And it's not very good, because they bring fleas, they can bring plague on the farm, and we can lose feed at the same time we can lose the birds. Rats are bad because they feed and then they urinate on the feed. Then the feed loses the palatability and also loses that quality. You know, you can't have that feed that has been spoiled by the rats being given to the birds. The quality is reduced and also the amount is reduced. So then storage is very important. As a farmer, concentrate much on having proper storage for your feed. The feed should be stored in a cool, dry place. And don't store feed for long, because the longer you store the feed, the life shell and the quality keeps reducing. And it's important that as much as you're solving the feed problems and feed challenges, we not only focus on solving the feed challenges financially and economically, we should also focus on solving the feed problems quality-wise. Because when you improve and work on the quality much, it's translated to the eggs and the results. Nobody loves you like M Agriculture. See you in the next episode.